Stephanie Chung, your go-to for all things marketing, mindset, and manifestation. I grew my online business from 0 to beyond 6 figures in 8 months. My purpose is to empower women to step into the highest, most aligned versions of themselves. If you are ready to take charge of your life, learn how to design a wildly successful business, and leave limiting beliefs behind, you've come to the right place. You will learn the actionable tips and step-by-step strategies on money, manifestation, and social media. It's time to step into your role as boss, to raise your vibration and tap into your unlimited potential today. Welcome to the Social Reset Podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about letting it be easy. This has been a common theme in Magic Mind, my business mastermind, and we're talking about letting things be easy in our business, in our sales, with our clients, and stepping into a world where money doesn't have to equal suffering. Money doesn't have to equal us putting out grueling hard work that burns us out. Burnout is the old paradigm. Doing things that we hate in order to make money is the old paradigm. That is no longer in alignment for soul-led entrepreneurs. So that's been a huge theme, and I thought I would bring it to all of you on the podcast because it's so important to let things be easy. Now, I do want to say, of course, there's going to be seasons and areas of your business that are going to feel challenging and they're going to feel tricky. I'm not saying to constantly find shortcuts or that everything is always supposed to feel easy, because if you're an entrepreneur and you've been an entrepreneur for longer than a couple minutes, you know that there are challenging moments. It triggers wounds and past traumas, and it forces you to face your shadows in a lot of different ways. What I mean by letting it be easy is, especially around sales, there is an energy that we can exude that essentially perpetuates more suffering and harder work than is necessary. I'm going to go into some specific examples so that you can really conceptualize what this looks like. But I'd love to start off with some wins for my clients so you can really start off this episode celebrating with them and seeing that things do get to be really easy. All right. So, first off, I am celebrating Brooke, my student who had her first Reiki session. She had over 10 signups for her masterclass, even though she was sick. So she kind of did the bare minimum and she still attracted so many signups. She offered a call to someone who attended her masterclass, and she is just shifting in her business in a way that aligns so deeply to her and the embodiment of her as a style icon. She is a beautiful manifestation stylist that roots in magic, energetic coding, spirituality, vision boarding, and helping her clients discover the style that works for them through color analysis and so many magical things. So, stepping into this version of her and allowing things to be simple, allowing things to be easy has been incredible. Next, my goodness, my client Taylor, she is a social media manager and an Instagram coach. She has a course, Instagram Growth Academy. And a couple of weeks ago, we decided she was going to take 2 full weeks off. She was getting to a point where she was burning herself out. There were so many things on her plate and lots of different things shifting in her business. So we decided to hand everything off to a virtual assistant on her team, decided to let her clients know she was going to be taking time off. She set up an autoresponder on her email. And the crazy thing is, she was so resistant to resting. She was so resistant to taking that step because she had never taken kind of this long vacation, long break in her business in that way, which was one of the things that was causing the burnout in the first place. And immediately she was invited to New York Fashion Week by one of her friends. She got asked to coordinate this event and party for the New York Jets. And she also landed a four-figure speaking gig as a keynote speaker, among some other incredible things. I believe she was also asked to host another influencer party um, for a hockey team. And she said that she's celebrating the fact that she changed her availability to only Tuesdays and Thursdays so that she doesn't burn herself out like she did before her time off. She said clients and leads are actually booking on those days and they're not asking me for additional availability. And she said, wild how I just set my boundaries and expectations and people follow suit. So it's so beautiful to see her step into this rested version of her, where we, especially if we're very much operating in our wounded masculine of wanting to get things done and wanting to push and create more and more, we think it's going to create more and more results, but it ends up backfiring because the most important person and the person that we really need to honor, especially as entrepreneurs, is ourselves and our rest and our bodies and being in our pleasure and allowing ourselves to have that time where we can be away, where we're not thinking about work, where we're not having conversations about work, where we're not checking our phones. And that's something that we implemented towards the end of the year and early this year. And not only does she have some incredible wins that she's manifested, she also feels like a different person. So, next on our wins list, I'm celebrating my student Chanel. She is celebrating speaking out more in different Facebook groups that she's in and just connecting with her story. She said that she's celebrating being an Asian woman that started her own business as a coach and talking about being a holistic nutritionist specializing in women's health. And she's showing up in a much bigger way than I have seen in the past several months. She's also in my foundational program for newer coaches, Business Activation Academy. And it's been incredible to see her step deeper and deeper into her embodiment. My client, Anne, she is a sex and relationship coach. She is celebrating that her client renewed for 5K. She said, OMG, it was so easy. Her questions weren't even about money. The first thing she said on the call was, I want to do this. I just have a couple questions. And it just had to do with logistics and timing, and then resetting her goals for coaching. Anne said, I'm loving this practice of what if it gets to be so easy? And she said that she's also spitting the play minute too, which is so helpful for me. Yay. I am in love with this because Anne and I have coached a lot on just letting things be easy, allowing herself to just drop into feminine sales in a way that feels so magnetic, so luxurious, and doesn't have to require extra grueling hard work that we get to attract just because of who we are, just because we are incredible coaches and amazing business owners. We don't have to go out of our way and make things so much harder in order to create the life that we desire and the soul aligned clients that already want to work with us. Now, the next win also comes from Taylor. She said that she's celebrating a sale in her course this morning. And she said the person she jumped on a sales call with, they had an amazing conversation. And she said to Taylor, I don't even need you to explain anything. I know everything about the course and I want in. Taylor said, I'm so fucking grateful I get to do this, that I get to work with powerful women like her. I'm celebrating the fact that this felt so easy and aligned. I wasn't nervous beforehand. I wasn't even hoping for anything. I was detached, and I feel like that's why it was a fuck yes for her. Yay. Yes, I am celebrating that. Taylor and I have also been working on sales calls. We've all in this container been working on approaching sales calls from a more detached energetics, showing up really powerfully. And it's been so beautiful to see them booking soul aligned clients through our strategy and the energetics work. And is celebrating another celebration in our Celebration Station channel. She said, I'm celebrating another sales call booked from one of my love sessions. So that's 3 coming up, leaning into the possibility that it's so, so easy. Yes, I love that. And then Taylor has another win. She said, I'm celebrating sending an email raising my prices to all my current social media management clients, celebrating the fact that even though I felt a little bit anxious about it, within a few hours, I was able to calm my nervous system. I woke up happy about it. And celebrating the fact that my workflow with my assistant feels amazing. She's happy, our clients are happy, and I'm happy. Nothing feels stressful with my agency right now. And that's a breath of fresh air, feeling grateful. Yes, I am celebrating that in letting it be easy and allowing Taylor and all of my students to step into raising prices. Go having prices go up can feel like a stressful thing if we don't have the right energetics. And yet there is a way to do it that feels lighter, calmer, and also really exciting. All right. Anne has another celebration and she said, I'm celebrating. I just had a sales call and I did some visualization and mindset around non attachment. I tried some new things and uh, sh- I'm celebrating that I didn't have any shame around telling her the price. And so just celebrating that mindset, not making it mean anything about her completely detaching. And she said, I'm going to celebrate getting into the game and practicing and growing with every single sales call. That's really the most important, beautiful energy that we get to co-create is every single sales call, every experience, every conversation we have in our business gets to grow us and we get to be more and more expansive, more and more magnetic. And that's what makes things easier. Taylor left a message in the channel that said, celebrating that I feel expansive as fuck right now. I feel a different energy buzzing in and around me. Like I know my income is about to explode. I know my business is about to pop off. I know my impact and followers are about to shoot up. I know my income is about to massively shift. I feel it. It's different. It's so certain. I have so much to say on this, but I'm leaving it at that for right now. Yes. That is the energy we step into inside Magic Mind. That is the energy that we are celebrating. And then my client, Joe, who is a relationship sex coach for both couples and for singles, she's bragging that another powerful workshop, another person is interested in her group program. She has one person who is in, and she has two signups. Someone who she in that someone I invite yes, so someone that she invited in, and then someone else she's having conversation with who is probably going to be saying yes as well. So those are all of the wins inside Magic Mind, my 6-month business coaching mastermind. This is such an incredible sisterhood and community of women who are serious about growing their business and stepping into the multi six figure version of themselves. And doing so in a community with their peers, stepping into feminine leadership, magnetic sales, letting things be easy instead of harder, working smarter, building out their team, learning to be a leader and a CEO. And of course, increasing their revenue in a way that feels so aligned without doing any of the things they don't want to do in their business. That's all Magic Mind is about. And we are about to launch for the May 2023 round. So if you want to be a part of the next round of Magic Mind, make sure you get your application in February. We're going to be launching starting February 16th. So mark your calendar. The applications will be available for you from February, did I say 16th? I said I meant February 12th to February 23. So there's going to be 2 weeks open for the May 2024 Magic Mind launch. And if you would love to be a part of it, send me a DM. We can chat about it, see if you're a good fit. You can also start an earlier payment plan if you already know, like, yes, I want to be in. Yes, let's go. So that is what's happening with Magic Mind. And I'll leave the link in the show notes. It's just tiffanychung.co/Magic Mind. So you can read all about the container, everything that you get. And it's such an incredible, life-changing community to be a part of. We have an in-person live event in the Bay Area that you're kicking off the container with. That's going to be in April. And I can't wait. I cannot wait for this next round. I cannot wait for my students that are renewing, new students that we're attracting. We already have people in the container that joined during early enrollment. So it's just been an incredible journey to lead my Magic Mind students. And if you are feeling drawn, please reach out. Let's have a conversation about it. Let's talk about it. Let's see how we can get you in this next round. All right. So, some things to think about when letting sales be easy. Now, the first thing I want you to ask yourself is, where are you making it harder? Really simple, right? Where are you making things harder? What are you making harder that doesn't need to be harder? Where are you equating sales to suffering? Now, I want to be really transparent about this because it it can be so easy to look at these things and kind of shame ourselves or make ourselves feel really bad of like, "Oh, I am doing that," or like, "Oh, why am I doing that? I'm so" all these things, right? We can jump into a lot of negative self-talk and, especially if you're a woman of color, we weren't taught this growing up. We are probably doing this work for the first time in our lives, 2, 3, 4, 5 decades in, right? So, you will really wanna be patient, give yourself kindness, give yourself a lot of leeway and recognize, oh, this is just a pattern I get to break, right? This is just a pattern that I get to break, and that's all that it is. Yes, I saw my parents hustle really hard for money growing up and work extremely hard, but I don't have to do that. I don't have to live my life that way. I don't have to attract money that way. It gets to be easy for me. And I want you to tap into where it's been hard in your conditioning in the past, where it's been true, where you did have to suffer to make money, maybe when you were younger and you were struggling to pay the bills. I know within my own story, I was relying on food stamps, on WIC, on childcare subsidy dues to go to school and go to work and pay the bills and have food on the table for me and my daughter, because otherwise, I wouldn't be able to get it. I was working a lot. In fact, I was working multiple jobs, but I was making very little. Because I was a teen mom and I was so young, I didn't have any experience. I was working the first job I had ever worked when I gave birth to my daughter. So it wasn't as if I was making tons of money. I remember when I started, I think I was making like $14 an hour. And so that wasn't a lot of money and it wasn't even enough to pay rent. So I had to work extra jobs on top of that. And I felt myself burning out, constantly being worried about money, having all of these thoughts and ideals about money, and then even having really negative thoughts about people who had money. Like they're just so greedy or they just have everything handed to them, right? There were a lot of beliefs I had about money and about what was available to me versus what was available to other people. And it was very much a victim mentality. And now I can see as an entrepreneur who's been in the game for many years, I've worked on my money mindset. I've dealt with a lot of those past traumas and shadows and that version of myself, my inner teen, my inner child. I've done a lot of work around my shadows. I see that, that was an experience that I was attracting and that I was in, and for many different reasons. And of course, my feelings, my emotions were valid. And at the same time, I can see how my thoughts and my conditioning that were passed down from my parents and also from my lineage affected me to see things in a different way. I also wasn't open to seeing things in a different way. So now that I've done so much work being open to seeing things in a different way, my money reality has shifted because of it. So the fact that you're even listening to this podcast episode, you've likely already done money work on your own, money mindset work. Maybe you're in the middle of just kind of starting that. And so I think that's a beautiful thing to recognize and celebrate and honor, is that you're already looking at doing things differently than probably your parents and your grandparents and your lineage. And that means that you will shift your money story because you're already expanding all of the ways in which money can be easy and flow to you effortlessly. So I want to celebrate you in that, in listening to this episode, in working on creating in a more expansive and prosperous relationship with money, this is this is a beautiful place to really dive in even deeper and look at those layers, right? Because it isn't just one thing. And then once we switch it, we then forever for the rest of our lives have a great relationship with money, right? It's layers upon layers of lineage and our family and conditioning and society. We've demonized money as a society. So it's no wonder it's one of the trickiest, most challenging things to manifest, not because it's hard to manifest it, but because we have so many thoughts about money. We have so many limiting beliefs around money. We have so many blocks we've created for ourselves around money. Money, at the end of the day, is neutral. Right? Money is neutral. It doesn't have a mind of its own. It is a neutral thing. I believe money is here to support us. It is a resource that the universe and the spirit of our business and our guides allow us to or that the universe uses to support our highest mission and how we support the work that we do, right? Our soul's purpose, serving other women through coaching, containers, courses, etc. Everything that we're doing is, we get to be supported by money so we can make a greater impact. But money on its own is not bad. So if we're still catching ourselves, and this took me quite a while to shift it, and very rarely does it happen, but sometimes it does when I, take my daughter shopping and, I utter the words, "Oh, that's, like I can't afford that right now," or that's not in the budget, right? Like just because like I really don't want to spend $50 on something that we don't need, right? So I'm becoming so much more and have become so much more intentional about our conversations around money because I recognize that what I teach her and what I say around money gets passed down to her and her money story, right? So that's something to take into consideration is where has it been hard in the past? What are you shifting? What beliefs are you carrying into entrepreneurship from your past, from your family's past? And how do you want that to be different? Like we're going into a brand new year. We're going into, there's going to be so many different things that you're going to do this year. You have big goals. How are you going to show up in your relationship with money? How are you going to be, not just do, but how are you going to be around your relationship with money? How are you going to show up as a wealthy, prosperous business owner? What is that going to look like for you? You get to decide that, right? Nothing runs you. You run it. You control your reality. You show up and create the reality that you desire. Nobody is doing that for you. And then you want to ask yourself, what patterns or strategies are you clinging to that are making things harder for you? Now, this was a big one for me because when I started, I was very much in the space of super masculine business owners and coaches and teachings, a lot of wounded masculine teachings, a lot of like kind of manipulative, sleazy teachings that were really outdated, old paradigm. And I thought that everyone taught this way. And the only way to make sales was to do it those ways because I just didn't know, right? I didn't know. So I clung so hard to those strategies and patterns that weren't working for me as a feminine soul-led business coach and business owner. But I didn't know any other way. That was the only way I was taught and I'd never done sales before, not even in jobs. And so I was like, "Okay, well, this is the way, right? Like, this is kind of what I just have to do in order to make sales." And of course, I'd seen my dad as a workaholic work really, really hard growing up and spend all of his time working. And so immediately I went into this idea of like sacrificing time with my daughter, working really hard, using strategies that didn't really align to me, just stepping outside of myself and self-abandoning because I thought that was the only way to make sales. And of course, eventually I shifted out of that and I chose things that let it be easy, right? So, like, for example, if maybe you've been in business for a while, you've been running sales calls and they're starting to drain you, you don't really have a lot of time for it because you've got group programs, maybe you've got one on one calls, and you're still trying to fit in as many sales calls as you can. Maybe it's not in alignment for you to offer them anymore. Maybe you switch the public call to action from book a sales call with me to fill out an application with me. Or maybe it's instead of booking a sales call with me, it's DM me to explore and let's chat a little bit in the DMs and send some voice notes back and forth. That's what I love doing. Or maybe you still offer sales calls, but it's really few and far between. And it's maybe either on only certain days or you only bring out a certain invite link to the people who've reached out to you in the DMs. And you can tell they're already a potential client. They're already interested in working with you. Right. So there's so many ways that you can shift it to just making it easy versus clinging to the fact of like, I can only make money through sales calls, which is not true. Right? And by the way, I think sales calls, if you're in the very beginning of your business, is really useful in understanding your clients. But for, let's say, like you're at the age, you're at the stage where your business is growing, it's expanding, you're scaling, you don't have that much time, then maybe shifting to application, especially if you've the demand for it, you don't have to jump on sales calls. So just thinking about those little tweaks and little strategies of like, okay, this worked back then when I was starting my business, but now that my business is growing and I have goals to multi six figures, is this something I want to keep doing? Or is this something I want to just kind of leave in the past? It's really great to do evaluations, not just for results in your business and money that you're making, but actual strategies and techniques and tools that you're using and offering and your actual offers, like doing evaluations on those as well to check in and see how you're feeling, right? Because sometimes unknowingly, subconsciously, we can bring in things that we've been always doing, but they're not actually helping us get where we want to go. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, what got you here won't get you there. And with certain strategies and tools, especially if they're outdated, if they're not aligned to you anymore, they can actually end up holding you back and making you have to spend much more time and feel much harder versus, oh, just send out an application form and have them fill it out and you review it. Or, oh, just have them DM you. So now you have people reaching out to you, especially if you're a generator, you're a manny-gen, and your strategy is to respond like me. It's really great when someone reaches out in the DMs and I get to just respond to them, ask them questions, and get to know them better, tell them details about the offer, put the ball in their court. It makes things so simple for me because I can do that right before I go and pick up my daughter. Right. I can, like, in the car if I'm stopped before I go and get her and then respond in a voice note later that evening. Or I can do that early morning and I don't have to spend an hour or an hour and a half on a sales call going back and forth and back and forth. Right. I also really decide this is something I work on is really deciding that my most aligned clients, my ready and resourced clients, they're going to go out of their way to answer their own questions. That's what I do. In the mastermind I invested in right now, which was 25K, and then two masterminds I invested in before then, which were both at 20K. So 40K total, and then another 25K for the one I'm in right now. I didn't ask any questions. I didn't reach out. And that there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But I went out of my way to just answer my own questions, binge their content, watch their live videos, read their emails until I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm in. And I paid. And that was the first time I had a conversation with them was once I was inside the program getting coached by them. Right. And that's not to say like I won't reach out and maybe have a conversation or maybe comment on a potential mentor's stuff. But for the most part, I make those high level decisions within my own brain. I just decide and then I just jump in. Right. And that's made me not only a really great student, but someone who's gotten really amazing results. Right. In every single container I've been in, some of them are multi seven figure, 8 figure, multi 6 figure. I've worked with all different types of coaches and mentors. And some of them have tons and tons of people in their container or in their courses. And for some reason, I've always been the one who has been highlighted and spotlighted, asked to go on the podcast. Like Manifestation Babe had me on her podcast, and James Wedmore had me on his podcast, and Simone Soul did like a case, James Wedmore did a case study on me. Simone Soul had me on her podcast. And then I also ended up being a coach in her program. So I've done so much intentional kind of like energetic work to get to a place where I felt like I was making my own decisions and overcoming my own objections before jumping into someone's container. And it's no wonder that I call in students that do the same. Sometimes someone will pop up out of nowhere and I've never had a conversation with them before. And they're like, hey, I'm ready to work with you. I've been following your stuff for a really long time and I'm ready now, right? And that's not to say like I don't also have incredible ready to jump in students that I have lots of back and forth messages with as well. It's all across the board, but I like to let things be easy. And I want to challenge you to ask yourself the processes and the systems and the sales cycles and the launches and all the things that you do in your business to attract clients and to market and to create content. How are some ways that you can make it easier on yourself? What are some things that are taking an extra long time? If this is something that you really want to work on, I would recommend tracking your time. I've used a extension called Toggle, Toggl. You can also just maybe use a timer on your phone or just track time in a more manual way. But I've been in a place where I really wanted to track like where's my time going, right? I did this back when I was spending like hours upon hours working, and yet I was like, what was I doing? So if you really want to take inventory for where your time is going, I would track your time for let's say like a week and really take notice of like what is taking up most of my time. What is like sucking the energy and the life out of me? How can I reframe this? How can I do something different? How can I let it be easier? All right. So, those are the main things I want to share with you around letting it be easy. A lot of this is going to be energetic work that you allow yourself to step into. And it's a big mindset shift, especially if you grew up in a family that really valued like hard work and like you have to sacrifice and you can only make money if you do blah, 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 right? Like, most of us, especially as women of color, have grown up in those backgrounds and in those families. So there's sometimes a level of guilt of like, oh, that was too easy. Should it have been that easy? But here's the thing. The spirit of your business chose you. The legacy that you're meant to leave behind chose you, right? And when you are in alignment to your work and your soul's purpose and what you're creating, it does get to be easy because you're in alignment with your work, right? I remember I would have to drag myself to work, cry on the way in my commute, drag myself up the stairs. And I didn't even work for that many hours because I was working part time and going to school and I had other jobs on the side. But those hours that I was in the office working felt so long and treacherous and terrible and just, I worked, I did good at my job, but it just felt so hard. And of course, my business also, I work hard in it as well. But there is a lot that I attract in my business as an entrepreneur who is aligned to her soul purpose, doing work that I love every single day with soul aligned clients that light me the fuck up. Everything I do, this podcast, my offers, Magic Mind, Business Activation Academy, I'm so aligned to everything I offer and all of the content that I talk about. Magic, manifestation, wealth attraction, feminine leadership, sales, sex, all of these things that light me up. Like, this is all me. This is like me, Tiffany, right? So I don't have to go out of my way to like, oh, what do I have to talk about? It's like, I immediately know, right? It's so natural because this is my purpose. This is what I feel in alignment doing. So when you are in alignment, there is natural expansion. Things are naturally more effortless. When things are hard and complicated, like I used to dread math classes when I was in school. I wasn't good at them. I wasn't a good test taker. I wasn't good at doing math. Like it was my worst subject. I've failed it multiple times. Math has made me cry on multiple occasions, more than I would like to recount. I was just not good at it. I'm just not a math person, right? If I never do another math equation in my life again, if excluding like counting up money and sales, I would literally love to opt out of it. So math was not my strong suit. And I remember math classes and math homework would be like the thing that I procrastinate the most. It took the longest. I never wanted to do it. I wasn't good at it. It would be so hard. I would be crying. I would be so frustrated. I would feel a knot in my stomach, right? But let's take English, for example. I was a great student in English. I always got A's. I always got into like the honors English classes. Like I was so good at English because I'm a writer. I published 2 books. I am a poet. I'm a published poet. I've done so much around writing. I love writing. I'm a natural writer. As soon as I could write, I was writing stories. My mom still has notebooks upon notebooks upon notebooks of stories that I wrote as a child. I still write for fun. I love to write, and essays were my jam. I loved writing essays. If there was like a 5 page minimum, I'd be writing like 10 pages, and sometimes I would get in trouble for writing way too much. I loved writing essays. And I would write essays for fun. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I loved writing. You can see that through my content. You can see that through my emails. So I loved writing. Essays felt super easy. So, and naturally, I was in alignment. I was excited. I was happy. I was lit up. It took less time. It's like when you're hanging out with friends that you love, you're so aligned to, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's been 3 hours. We have to go home. I felt like we just got here, right? Versus like going to maybe some stuffy boardroom meeting or a networking event that you really don't want to be at, or friends that you're no longer aligned with, or maybe you meet someone for the first time and you can just tell that they're not your vibe and you're checking the time and it's like, all right, it's time to go home now. Can we go? So time naturally moves, and of course, like time is a construct, and we can see that through those 2 examples. But I share those examples to show you that when you're in alignment, things are naturally more effortless. When you're in alignment, things naturally flow smoother. So you are allowed to let things be easy. You are allowed to drop into magnetism that allows sales to find you. And if your thought is always, I have to go out of my way to convince people to work with me, you're going to create a self fulfilling prophecy where you're always going to have to reach out to people, where you're always going to have to convince people, where you're always going to have to be in graspy energy, because you're not allowing there to be a reality where people just come to you, because there's a part of you that thinks that can't possibly happen. So, really sitting with the energetics of that and shifting those thoughts, because it is possible. It's so possible. And I want you to play with that for the rest of this month in January and really for the rest of this year. But I really want to challenge you to step into a version of yourself that is a lot more, like 50% more effortless than you are now. We always logically want to just do more and add more to our plate and add more tasks and more strategies. And if I want to make more sales, I have to do more of this and I have to do more of that. It's very logical. And it's the way that our society is run, and corporate and different workplaces and anything that our brain kind of assumes as linear. And if we want to get more things done, we have to do more. I want you to challenge your brain to do the opposite. In order to create and attract more sales, I want you to start doing a little bit less. You're going to be like, what, Tiffany? That literally doesn't make any sense. And your brain's going to want to fight me on this one. And that's okay. Your brain is there to protect you. Not all of what it says is truth. I want you to just play with it. You don't even have to necessarily be 100% on board and be like, yep, 100% in, because maybe it's a reality you just haven't created fully yet, right? So I want you to play with, how can you let things be simple? The next time you find your body lunging forward to go and do more things, or to add more on your plate, or go and finish up something really quickly because you think it's super, super important, I want you to give yourself the option and the opportunity to just sit back down. It's like you get up to say something and you're like, okay, we need to do this. And then you let yourself just sit back down. You just let your energy just come back down, right? And the next time you feel like you need something, you need to add something in your business, or something maybe didn't get done the way you wanted it to, or you feel like in order to create more sales this month, you have to go out of your way to do something really like big and grand, like really grandiose, right? I want you to give yourself the opportunity to just step back a little bit, release a little bit, How can you make it easier? How can you make the process easier? How can you make the strategy easier? How can you make sales easier? How can you make showing up easier? Continuing to ask this to yourself over and over and over and over again. How can I let this be easier? And over time, you will allow yourself to step into a reality, into a world, into a business where you are very aware of the actions that you're taking and not taking. And you're very aware of honing your frequency and energetics versus just taking a bunch of rapid, massive action for the sake of taking action. This is where you start streamlining, and this is also what sets you up to scale, especially into multi six figures and eventually seven figures in your business. Is you can't, especially you as the entrepreneur cannot be the one who's doing all of these random admin tasks and creating this and doing that. You have to eventually delegate all of that to a team, and there's going to be a version of you that fully releases and does a lot less in a really intentional, energetic way that actually attracts more. So I just want you to sit with this. I'll share more about this on the podcast. And this is exactly what we teach inside Magic Mind Mastermind. So, if this is something that's really calling to you, if you're really intrigued by this, if you've already been stepping into this a little bit more in your business and you want deeper support, I highly recommend that you join us for the next round of Magic Mind. It is such an incredible community. It is such a beautiful program that I've channeled and created. We meet for 6 months straight. We have 3 coaching calls for 90 minutes every single month. We also have focus group calls focusing on different topics every single month. There's an in person 3 day live event, like I mentioned earlier. And you also get lots of review and feedback from me. You get content review, sales call review, webinar review. We do launch planning together. We look intimately at your sales process, sales cycles, marketing plan, and also your revenue plans so that we're really clear on your goals, what you're doing to create them, and who you have to be. This is essentially the highest level, highest touch way of working with me. So if you want me in your corner and you have big goals for 2024 and you desire mentorship, you desire to be in a room coached not only by me, but a handful of other incredible, amazing coaches who are growing alongside you and that you're learning from them and they're learning from you. This is an incredible community and container to be a part of. And I don't want you to miss out. This is the only round that's running in 2024. The next round isn't going to be until early 2025. So if you want to be a part of Magic Mind, this is your opportunity. Join us in February. The applications will be open on February 12th and they're going to be closing on February 23rd. So make sure you get your application in before then. If you know you want to save your spot and get early access to Magic Mind now, send me a DM on Instagram at tiffanychung.co or email me at hello@tiffanychung.co. We'll get you in, we'll get you access to the past call replays and the curriculum, and make sure you save your spot because we only have limited spots available. I want to make sure that you save your spot for the May 2024 round. And if you want to read more about Magic Mind, go to the link in my show notes or just type in www.tiffanychung.co/magicmind. And that will bring up the invite page with everything you get access to. The themes are feminine leadership and magnetic sales, sovereign sales, growing your team, hiring team members, stepping into the most magnetic and the most powerful version of yourself as a leader who goes first, a leader who's creating a legacy, a leader who is leading a movement, not just a business, but a movement, rooting into your why and how you're serving your most soul aligned clients, not just ticking things off the list in terms of being a business owner and just kind of going through the motions, but actually creating a heart-led, heart-centered business that's led by you. And you're only doing things that are in alignment with you and your energy. You are building a business that is fully dropped into your inner guidance, not just sales strategies that people tell you to do or that bro marketing tells you need to have in order to make sales, but actually creating a business that is energetically aligned to your values, your vision, and trusting your intuition and co-creating with the spirit of your business. That is how we do things in Magic Mind. It is not me giving a one-size-fits-all blanket strategy to everyone that works within certain outcomes. But if we're talking about building soul-led businesses, every single person in Magic Mind is connecting to their own intuition, is dropping into their wisdom and their magic. And I'm helping guide you and make sure you are on your highest timeline for wealth and abundance and prosperity and attracting the most incredible business in 2024. So if you're serious about hitting six figures or multi six figures in 2024, if that's on your manifestation list, if that's on your 2024 resolutions, then I would love to see you inside Magic Mind. Send me a DM if you want to explore, talk about it a little more, hear more details, ask any questions. More than happy to help you and support you there. And other than that, you can join the waitlist. It's in the show notes. I cannot wait to have you inside the Magic Mind round. And I will catch you in the next episode. Let it be easy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe. If this episode resonated with you, please take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me at tiffanychung.co. I truly appreciate interacting with every one of you. Catch you all on the next one.